Guru Nation, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what sites should do when it comes to dealing with their CRAs. Daniel, roll the intro. Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Really means a lot to me. We're also on Instagram live right now, so if you want to see the live streams for these things, occasionally I'll go on Instagram or on TikTok. Follow me on both, just so you don't miss out. But right now I'm on Instagram. We have a monitor here today, well, here being at our site today, Yuma Clinical Trials. And I got to talking with the staff about how to prep for monitors, how to deal with them during their visits, and overall just how to interact with monitors even when they're not doing a monitoring visit, just dealing with them, period. Like having that relationship. I think the coordinator and the CRA relationship is probably the most important relationship in all of research. Not enough is discussed about this relationship. This relationship makes or breaks studies. Your monitor should be your greatest ally as a site outside of your organization. They're your first line of contact. You should definitely treat them with respect. You should definitely listen to what they say. You should definitely consider what they say, and for the most part, do what they say. There are some instances where you can push back, but again, we're going to get into a little bit of all that, but I wanted to talk about just basic monitoring, site monitoring interactions. So let's talk about first when they come to your site, because those are the easiest things to kind of figure out, and then we'll get into some of the more complicated stuff. So when the monitors first come to your site, like let's say it's a site selection visit, it may not be the same monitor that does the site selection visit that is your monitor. But obviously you still want to treat them right because that's their first impression of your site in person. So you want to have a place like preferably a conference room that they could come during the site selection visit. They are going to want to go over some of the protocol, like not entirely. They're not going to read slides. Hopefully they don't read the slides just verbatim. But the goal of the site selection visit for the monitor's perspective is to make sure that you're an appropriate site for the study and that the study is appropriate for your site. And to work out, iron out any wrinkles. Maybe it's your last chance as a site or a sponsor to say, you know what, we're better off not doing the study with each other. So site selection visit, super important. Obviously, if you're a site owner or a CRC, it's your first chance to really show who you are. And it's okay at the site selection visit if you decide, hey, you know what, we don't actually want to do this study. Like, sorry for wasting your time, but we do have other indications that might be more appropriate. You just want to treat them with respect. The monitor has already been paid for coming out there, so they're doing their job. So don't feel bad if at a site selection visit you decide the study's not appropriate for you. And you can also refer other sites to them. Ask them if they're still in need of other sites. Whether you accept the study or not, you can still offer. What you don't want to do is just not ask them and then give a bunch of sites their email. Like, first of all, the monitor may not even be the appropriate person for giving the study contact or the study lead to. Like, it might actually be someone else, and you might just be encouraging people to spam this monitor's inbox. So if you're going to refer sites, ask first. And if you're not going to ask, because I understand there's sites out there afraid to ask, it's not the monitor, all right? Give them someone else's information, not the monitor. Maybe ask the monitor, who's in charge of the study from your company. That's the person you want to give sites the info, the contact info. But when in doubt, just ask. Like, hey, are you guys still accepting more sites? I have a bunch of colleagues that might be interested. Start out with that, building the rapport. Now, for a regular monitoring visit, so site initiation visit and beyond, that's going to most likely be your monitor for the foreseeable future, unless, of course, there's turnover, which is not uncommon at CROs. But site initiation visit and onward, you want to establish a good rapport with your CRA. And CRAs come in all different personality types. You may not click with all of them, but generally, somebody on your team will be most compatible with any of your given CRAs. And so just try to find out early from your site who's best to deal with this particular personality type. You have some monitors that are very friendly, very laid back. You have others that are more introverted. You have others in between. You have others that are more quiet. You have others that just want things in a specific way. You got to figure out as a site director or a site owner who at your site is best equipped to deal with the monitor. At our site, we have a lead CRC, Katie, and she's kind of in charge of this. I'm the site director, so I do get involved with monitors. Like today, we have a monitor, and I try to meet all of them. You want to go out of your way to be nice. Like, I think that's why it's important to put that here first. Just being a good person. They have a hard job. I've been a monitor before, so I have even more empathy for them. But they have a very difficult job. It's probably harder than being a coordinator or a site director. And just having respect for what they do, understanding that there's sometimes when they are stressed and they are asking things like urgently, it's not them. It's someone above them, like their manager telling them, hey, we need you to get on this site about XYZ. Like, I've been on the other side too. I've been a monitor where I've been told, hey, make sure when you're there that you get this, and that. And they'd give you like a laundry list of tasks that you then have to go talk to the site and get that information from them. And it may not be a pleasant experience because you're giving the site more work to do, basically. So as a site, keep this in mind. Even though you may not have been a CRA in the past, hopefully from this video, you'll understand that their job's probably harder than yours. Like, I would put money on that CRA's job is harder than a CRC. So go out of your way to be a kind person. What does that mean? That means treat them with respect. Don't ignore them. Put them, if you have a dedicated space for monitors, it's even better. If you have a private room for them, it's the best. I hated as a monitor, when I was put in a room with other monitors, like cubicle style. And I understand some sites, there's no other option. But if you have the option, this is why this video is for the sites. If you have the option, put them in a private room where they could be more comfortable, right? Have a copy machine nearby. People don't really use fax anymore, but have a copy machine nearby. Copies are made a lot. I know sometimes CRAs bring their own little scanners with them, but just having a private area. Give them access as soon as they get in to the Wi-Fi. Like, just simple things like that. They shouldn't be having to chase someone around to try to log into their internet. Even before all this, when you know a monitor's coming, make sure the front desk knows to let you know when they're there. We've had, by accident, monitors waiting like 30 minutes, and then they end up texting me or emailing me like, hey, I'm here. Well, it turns out the front desk never told me, or maybe they told me, we have our system set up where we have a doorbell at the receptionist area that the receptionist is supposed to push when someone's there for research. So whether it's a patient or a package that arrived or a monitor, they're supposed to push the doorbell. At our other site, which is same company, McClingo Charles, but we have like a hub and spoke model. So at our standalone research site, we still have this doorbell because it's a big building. So it says ring for research, and then we'll hear it and we'll go out there. But sometimes there's like technical glitches and the signal doesn't transmit. So if you know a monitor is coming, like if you know they're supposed to come at 9 and it's 9:05, 9:10, and no one's told you a monitor's there, go down and check. Like sometimes they're lost, sometimes they don't know where they're going. So go down and check. On the other side of this, I've been a monitor, or I've gone to do site visits at very big institutions. Usually this is the case. And the front desk won't let you up until somebody from the site comes down to get you. And I've waited as long as 45 minutes just sitting in the lobby. And I remember this one occasion where I was doing that, and I saw like just a line of other monitors for other studies doing the same thing. And they were all frustrated, and they were all waiting for different people to come down to get them. But it was clearly a systemic issue there, and it wasn't necessarily a pleasant site to monitor for a number of reasons. At that site, they did put me in a room at one point with other monitors, and it was like I ended up talking to the other monitors because I'm a talkative person. And one of the monitors actually recognized me from the video, so we started talking. But I'd prefer to just be in a private room, like just by myself, with easy access to the coordinators. So just try to do that. If you have any control over the situation, try to keep the monitors by themselves. Show them where the water is. Another very basic thing that we do that majority of sites don't do is offer snacks. And I know there's like different policies in place for CRAs, like, oh no, if somebody wants to buy you a meal from the site, you can't accept it. And then they had like that CRO or that sponsor had like an army of lawyers drafting these policies. Well, we don't offer to buy them anything, although I have done that, because not every company has these policies. We just have snacks. In the room that I know where we're going to put the monitor, the day before, we make sure it's stocked up with water, snacks, coffee. So we have a coffee machine for the monitors. And then when they come in, like today, I did this. When they come in, I tell them, hey, we have snacks and stuff here in case you get hungry. At the end of the day, I saw the monitor was eating the snacks. So it's just little things like that. Believe it or not, that little act right there, I'm trying to think if ever as a monitor, I don't think I've ever been offered or even was placed in a room where they told me, hey, feel free to help yourself with snacks. Or even other simple things like, where's the microwave? You know, I remember monitoring once, and I was on a strict diet doing keto. So I had to eat at a certain time because I had a fasting window. And I remember and this was actually a Pleasant site, but it was a huge site. And I remember like I was ready to eat, and I felt weird like walking around the site because there's like exam rooms and then there's IP rooms. So I had to wait for the coordinator to come back so I could ask them like, hey, where's the microwave? Or do you guys mind if I use the microwave? Just simple things like that. As a site owner or a CRC, if you have any control over these things, take care of these things early on. Like as soon as they get there, hey, the bathroom's here, the Wi-Fi password's here, the copy machine's here, here's some snacks for you, here's a coffee machine. What else do you need? Anything you need, let us know. We're in this other room. Here's the bathroom. Like, just show them what they need. Ask them for their agenda too. Like sometimes monitors will be very assertive and tell you as soon as they get there, what time can I meet with the PI? And if they're not assertive, you can be proactive. And like today, our monitor, she's not the assertive type. She's a nice person, very nice person. And I know she's not the assertive type, so I let her know, hey, at 2 o'clock, because our PI's office is a 5-minute drive from our site for today's visit. At 2 o'clock, our PI is available to meet with you, and we can have one of our CRCs drive you over there. And so everything worked out well. She ended up calling him instead. But we let her know the agenda, like, hey, 2 o'clock PI. So she knows, because I've been a monitor, how to plan her day. Like, you never know when you're going to... Sometimes you don't know when you're going to meet the PI. The PI might show up as soon as you get there. Like, hey, what do you have for me? And as a CRA, I'm not ready yet. Like, hey, nice to meet with you, doctor. You know, I haven't actually monitored yet, but from our last visit, and then I have to like scramble and find my action items. So try to get ahead of that if you can as a site. And part of making the monitor's life easier is being prepared with action items from their previous visit being resolved. Or if they're not resolved, at least have an explanation for why. So as soon as they get in there before, or right after you tell them, you know, where's the food, where's the bathroom, all that stuff, where's the microwave, let them know, hey, you know what, from the last action items, if you want one of us to come in here and go through the last action items, we can do that. If not, we'll wait for you. We are in this suite next door, or whatever. You can text one of us or email one of us. That goes a long way. And I'm telling you guys how to be good sites that monitors recommend for future studies, because this kind of stuff may seem small, but it goes a long way into being recommended for future trials. And monitors are often asked, you know, when there's a new study, hey, would you use this site again? And you want as much going in your favor as possible. So helping them do their job more effectively means you doing your job as well as a site effectively, or at least communicating effectively. Another thing, so those are big things right there. Previous action items, what time they're going to meet with the PI. If the PI is not able to come in, can they call him, and when? Those are all super important things. Also, if there's anything urgent from the sponsor at that particular visit, to get that done before their visit's over. So make sure that the coordinator or coordinators can meet with them. Another thing we do during the monitoring visit, we have a lot of monitors that drive to us. So because we're in Yuma, so it's people either drive from San Diego or Phoenix. But Yuma does have an airport, and there are monitors that fly to Yuma. Giving them a ride to the airport. Like, it may not be feasible in your city. You may be in, like, LA, where it's, like, an all-day event to go to LAX. But if you're in a town where it's not that big of a deal, like, I've given monitors a ride to the airport, and it actually happened, like, 2 monitoring visits ago with someone else. And they were, like, shocked that we would offer that. And I told my coordinators, like, hey, the airport's only 5-minute drive, because they were ready to call an Uber. And I told them, no, I'll drive you myself, because I got to go back. And just little things like that. So I'm not saying you drive them to the airport, but just little things like that. I have taken monitors out for lunch in the past too. And I don't do that regularly, but bringing the food or bringing the snacks, that we do regularly. And then just being hospitable and having an environment that they want to be at, or that they at least feel good to be at, goes a long way. Now, a lot of the work stuff I discussed, like the action items, just make sure you're not ignoring the action items. If they keep asking you things like, hey, make sure you enter your data on time, or, you keep repeating deviations, obviously, no matter how many snacks you give a monitor, you're not going to be a good site if you're committing deviations or not entering data on time or taking forever to answer queries or not responding to their action items. Like, these are just extra things. They may still like you more because you're doing that stuff, but at the end of the day, you got to do the work that you were hired as a site to do, which is following up on action items, communicating effectively why certain action items are not done or when you plan on doing them. Outstanding queries, like answer them. Data, enter it. Make sure you're following your SOPs. When they're asking you questions about recruitment, when they're asking you to do things in the IRT, like, it's usually the mundane stuff. You gotta make sure that you're responsive. And if you're in charge of a team, or if you're in charge of a coordinator and you're finding out, or if you're the site director or lead CRC and you're finding out that people are kind of not taking responsibility for it, then it's your responsibility, and it's your responsibility to delegate and to train your staff on how to handle these things well. And then the other big one is the PI. And now the PI, sometimes the PI says, hey, I'll be there at 2, and then they get really busy between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. They totally forget about 2 o'clock. So you got to remind the doctor, like, at 2, hey, are you still on track to meet with them? Because this happens a lot, if the PI says, you know what, I can't do 2, I'm sorry, it's your job, not the monitor's job, to figure out how to come to a solution. And that's where you got to talk to your PI and say, well, can you take a phone call, or what time can you meet in person, or can we bring them to you? We've done all of the above, like phone call, Zooms, driving them to the clinic, having the PI come to the clinic. Sometimes the clinic is where the PI is, and even then it's hard to get them. So if the monitor sees that you're going out of your way to facilitate a smooth transaction between the PI and them, that's good. Now, also make sure that you bring your PI up to speed with what's happening, because sometimes the PIs have a lot of studies, and sometimes they don't even remember what study this monitor is for until they see them, and they're like, I remember who this person is. This is for that study. And they may not be able to memorize off the top of their head everything that's going on. So you want to remind the PI before they speak to the monitor about the important things, like, hey, doc, we've had a couple of deviations that they're probably going to bring up, and they're probably going to bring up like our screen fail ratio. So just a heads up. This way you're keeping your PI happy, and you're also not having your monitor reiterate some of the things that they've told you. This way you're doing it. It's just those little things that add up in the long run. And if you're a CRC or a site director or a coordinator, these are the things you got to do. And then once the monitor leaves and in between visits, don't ignore their emails. If they need something, make sure somebody is responsive, like same day. If something's urgent, if there's a database lock, just be prepared. You're going to be annoyed with their monitor, and trust me, they're annoyed too with the pressure that they're receiving from data management or their CTM. It's best that you, instead of avoiding the situation, that you just address it as quickly as possible, especially when it's urgent. So know when things are urgent, important, urgent, not important, not urgent, important, not urgent, non-important. Have that grid, and then figure out what makes sense for your site in those scenarios. Have a plan in place internally for your site. So that's it. I think it's one of the most important relationship in all of research that doesn't involve patients is the CRA-CRC relationship. And just a few tips. I haven't seen anyone make any videos on this ever. how to interact properly with your CRA. Like, subscribe, comment, share, Guru Nation. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I missed. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.